In today's show, it's time to look ahead to Thursday's action across the NBA. Streaming options as well. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Thank you for making the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, and you can find whatever your favorite team is. We've got a Locked On show to cover that as well. We're here to look at Thursday's games, 6 of them for us to take a look at. And then we'll do some streaming options for standard leagues, deep leagues, and points leagues. So, let's do it. First game, Hawks-Wizards. Both of these teams on a back-to-back. Of course, we saw today Daniel Gafford go down, which looked like a serious knee injury. But then the Wizards said he was questionable to return with a quad contusion. He was eventually ruled out, but I would doubt that Gafford is ready to play in this game. I want to see Cam Reddish, of course. That's always one to watch, is the minutes and the distribution of him between him and Bogdan Bogdanovic and Kevin Huerter to see whether Reddish can be viable as a 12-team league. I'm not sure that he's any more than a streamer, but it is a great streaming opportunity for him on Thursday. Or John Collins got into a lot of early foul trouble on Wednesday. That's happened a lot for him over the course of his career and this season, so let's hope he can stay out of that trouble. For the Wizards, Kyle Kuzma continues to get big minutes in place of Rui Hachimura. Don't expect Hachimura to be playing on Thursday, so another big opportunity for Kuzma. And I want to go a little bit deeper and look at Denny Avdia, who, I don't know, I wasn't massively high on him at the time for a draft pick. He has probably even disappointed my expectations. I don't really see him as a great fantasy option moving forward, but I want to watch him just to see if we can see something, a little bit of a spark from him to give me some hopes, I guess, for the future for Denny Avdia. The Pistons and the Sixers. Last game, Kelly Olynyk was really, really good. Started in place of Jeremy Grant. Now, we don't know at this stage whether Grant is going to play. He's questionable with that elbow issue. But I want to see what Olynyk does without Grant. But I more importantly want to see what Olynyk does if Grant plays. Because is he going to play this 20-minute role, or can he get 25 minutes and play alongside Isaiah Stewart a little bit more than what we see, instead of sacrificing minutes to this bullshit of Trey Lyles that Dwayne Casey has been doing. And then Killian Hayes, who's looked better the last 2 games. He hasn't looked good, but he's looked better, and that's the right trajectory to be on. He's no more than a streamer. He is an interesting streamer, at least for Thursday, but let's see if he can start to become into below average rather than dreadful, which is where he's been. Hasn't been great for Tyrese Maxey the last couple of games. I am still holding him in 12-team leagues. I think this game will give us a little bit more information. If he's not able to really give it to the Pistons here, then his viability as a must-hold player probably drops quite a bit. So I want to watch him. And then Toby Harris, who did drop a lot of assists in the last game. He's been, I guess, fine. I wouldn't say he's been blowing up as some people may have expected. I even thought he'd get a bit of a bump without Simmons, but that hasn't really happened. He's just sort of been Tobias Harris. The same old Tobias Harris, which is fine, but it hasn't been taking gigantic steps forward or anything like that, which is something you would hope without Ben Simmons there. But if you're hoping for cheap parts for your car, don't have to hope anymore, because there's no point going to a local chain auto parts store. There's so many makes and models of cars these days that going to one of these stores, they're not going to have what you need. And then you got to wait, you got to talk to the bloke behind the counter. He's got to order it anyway. Why don't you just go to rockauto.com? They are the family business who've been serving do-it-yourselfers online for over 20 years. Whether it's brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, or even new carpet, Rock Auto has everything you would need for your car or truck. So, go to rockauto.com and check out their website. Check out all of the parts that are available for your car or truck. And in their How Did You Hear About Us box, write Locked On, so that they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. Basketball is back. BetOnline is also back with a new and improved web interface. More props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for basketball and football action this season. So head to that new, redesigned site. Use our promo code LOCKEDON and you can receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit from basketball, football, the World Series, NHL, boxing, and UFC. Right up to your favorite Vegas casino games. BetOnline, allows you to take advantage of all of their amazing offers for the 2021 season. So BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline is where the game starts. Okay, the Jazz and the Rockets. I want to watch Jordan Clarkson.
JordanClarkson.
He's scoring well. He's not really doing a huge amount more from there, but he is scoring well. And that has value in certain settings, especially in points leagues. But in category leagues, he's more of a fringe guy than a must-roster player. So can he start to do anything that is not just scoring at high volume, low efficiency? Well, Mike Conley, I thought, looked really good in the last game against Denver. They're keeping his minutes low because his team is just an absolute regular season juggernaut. It'll be interesting to see what they do if Bojan Bogdanovic does not play. Will that help guys like Clarkson and Conley push up a little bit more in this matchup? Although they probably won't need to against Houston. For the Rockets, Jalen Green, it's been up and down for sure. Never going to be an easy matchup against the Jazz. We saw Josh Giddey really struggle in that earlier season matchup here. Green, the shooting and stuff, that's going to come. He's getting the shots, which is great. I just want to see him do more in terms of rebounding and assists and steals, because that helps when you have those shitty nights shooting. It helps to build up your floor value. And then Daniel Tice, a lot of minutes over Alperen Şengün last game. He got a double-double, played 29 minutes. Was that a one-game trend? Or is that something that is going to continue? And if it is going to continue, then he does move into being at least a 12-team streamer, if not a 14-team league must-add player. The Knicks and the Bulls, primetime stuff. Julius Randle was a little bit disappointing against Philadelphia. No steals, no blocks, assists down, and efficiency in the toilet. Can he get back to the guy he was in his first couple of games? Like, what is his role going to be? I'm always tracking his assists with Kemba and Fournier around, and his usage to see where that all lies. While Kemba Walker, again, looked dead to begin the year. And then the last game against Philadelphia, he went bananas. 5 threes, 19 points. Looked great out there. Can he continue to play at that level? Will he get the minutes over Derrick Rose on a very, very regular basis? That would be what we're hoping for. So let's watch what Kemba does. While for the Bulls, Alex Caruso is getting those minutes over Patrick Williams, closing games, generating a ton of steals. He's over 3 steals per game. If that's not there, he's not worth rostering. He is a really nice stream guy, but it's really just because of his steals. And then Zach LaVine is dealing with a thumb injury. In fact, the skater boy, Zach LaVine. He is dealing with a thumb injury on his non-shooting hand. Let's see how it impacts him, or if they do anything to limit his minutes. We hope it's not going to be something that impacts him, but it is something that we need to pay attention to. The Spurs and the Mavericks. There is no Doug McDermott. So I expect Devin Vassell will start. You'll get Keita Bates-Diop in there as well, and then Lonnie Walker gets a bigger run. So Vassell is a 12-team ad. I think Walker can be a streamer for points. He's getting some nice assists and good efficiency at the moment. There is value in these guys. I want to see how that's distributed. Is it Vassell that starts? Is it Walker that starts? Who gets that most fantasy value? This is really, really key to watch. Vassell is the ad to me, but Walker's fine if you want to grab him afterwards. While for the Mavericks, Jalen Brunson's been playing a lot. He's been playing well. Does anything change after last game where Reggie Bullock looked great coming off the bench? Does that impact into Brunson's minutes? Brunson has some value, definitely as a streamer for this day. While, of course, we want to see whether this guy actually plays. Kristaps is dealing with his sore back issue that Kidd said was fine, although Jason Kidd is just an absolute dickhead. And so, Jason, how's Porzingis' back? It's fine. So it's obviously not fine because he's listed questionable for this game. If he is out, what do? I would imagine they start Bullock and push Finney-Smith up to the 4, and that gives Bullock some really interesting value. And if KP does play, can he at least do something that's good as opposed to what's been happening in the last few games, which have not been positives at all for Kristaps. We hope that he can start to rediscover that form that we saw from him in the preseason, at least. The Grizzlies and the Warriors, we want to watch Desmond Bane. I think I'm going to stop doing that voice. It's annoying me even now. Desmond Bane. He'll start once again. It is a back-to-back for Memphis, but I love what he's been doing. And I've loved what Steven Adams has been doing. His assist rate is up. Is that able to maintain? And what are his free throws going to look like? Well, for the Warriors, the battle between Jordan Poole and Damian Lee is another key focus. Poole has got more minutes the last 2 games. I believe Poole is a 12-team league player, and Lee's like a 14 to 16-team league guy. But if you are looking for scoring, Lee is doing it in really big bunches and has value, even as a stream guy in standard leagues with only the 6 games on Thursday. If we look at more stream options here, for 9 category leagues, Finney-Smith, Danny Green, Royce O'Neal, these are all these guys that you don't want to leave as must-roster players because they're not. But on low volume days, you add them in and they can produce across the board. Jalen Brunson and Dwight Powell in Dallas also. Damian Lee and Devin Vassell, who again, I mentioned Vassell is probably he's a must-add player. But at the very least, stream him in. At the very least. For deeper leagues, these are guys rostered in under 10% of leagues. Powell, Damian Lee, Andre Iguodala, Killian Hayes, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Frank Jackson, although Josh Jackson's been starting over him, but I still think Frank's got some value there. Corey Joseph and Furkan Korkmaz is another option for those deeper formats. And then for points leagues, Brunson, Finney Smith, Caruso, Dwight Powell, Daniel Tice, Devin Vassell, Damian Lee, and Lonnie Walker IV. Before I leave you, I've got to tell you about Postmates. We just had a delivery. I wish I could have got Postmates here, to be honest. Because that reliability that Postmates bring you that food, it's awesome. You get all your favorite foods from all your local restaurants, but it's not just about food. You can get other things delivered, like toothpaste and phone chargers on demand too. That's because the places like Walgreens and 7-Eleven are also on Postmates. The app lets you know when your food and items have been delivered. Everything is right outside your door. That's awesome. It's exactly what you need. And for a limited time, Postmates is giving our listeners a little something. New customers will get 50% off your first 5 orders of $50 or more when you use the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get 50% off your first 5 orders of $50 or more. Max savings of $100 per order. Just download the app or sign up online. It's super easy. Offer is subject to change and taxes and fees apply. Offer valid for 30 days after you add the promo code to your account. One thing I'd try to get from Postmates, maybe I'd get them to deliver me some Sweatblock. Actually, I can do that a better way, which I'll tell you about soon. Sweatblock is the doctor-created and doctor-recommended antiperspirant formula for those of us who suffer through excessive sweating. You know those days where you're just there and you look down at your arms, you go, what's that? What's going on? You lift it up and there's a stain under your armpit. Nobody wants that. It can be embarrassing in social settings. Sweatblock is the product you need. You get the wipes, you wipe them on at nighttime before you go to bed. You wake up the next morning, you have your shower, and you're off. You're covered for up to 7 days. They can be used not just on your armpits, on your chest, your back, your feet, behind your ears, wherever you are sweating. Anywhere you are sweating. In fact, absolutely anywhere you are sweating. Sweatblock can cover you. So get them at sweatblock.com by using our promo code LOCKEDON and save 20%. They're also available at Amazon and at CVS. Guys, that'll do it for today. Don't forget to follow this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app. We're on YouTube. Give it a thumbs up. Leave your comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.